Hello, everyone. Drum tech, drummer, and YouTube educator Kenny Sherritt's coming to you from the lovely Horn Lizard Studios in Austin, Texas, with a moment I've been waiting for a long time in my life. Now, inside this bag is a classic snare that gets one of the classic sounds that, quote-unquote, all my life, everyone's like, that's the sound you're looking for. Americana, modern country, classic rock, hard rock, like your Foo Fighter rock, where you're getting in and getting the beef of a snare drum and the backbeat matters. This is one of the drums that people went to back in the day, and they got to start going to now because it's been reissued. And so we're going to take a little conversation about what's inside this little bag.
If you got some drums to tune, let's hear it right. Catch it and share us on YouTube. Let's hear it right. All right. Let's hear it right. Get a tune in. Let's hear it right. Got a tune in. Let's hear it right. Get a tune in.
Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to the reissued Rogers Dyna-Sonic 6.5 by 14-inch maple poplar shell with the Beavertail lugs. Holla! Now, this snare drum was not only legendary for its shell and its shell sound, but for this one-of-a-kind, unique snare strainer system that we're going to get into as the video. This is what makes it the Dyna-Sonic, the ultimately sensitive snare drum without too much snare buzz. And I'm telling y'all, in the reissue model, they have absolutely killed it. I'm loving this drum, and I'm so happy to have it. So we're going to take it through some tuning ranges and some different details. But just to make sure you understand, it's just open room mics right now. No snare buzz. Dyna-Sonic, baby, one of a kind. Let's check it out. So now that we've got the head off, let's take a look at this aged proprietary shell that they got going on. Now, I remember back in the day when I first saw one of these in these style of drums, it was a maple poplar shell with the reinforcing rings and a 45-degree bearing edge, and this drum is the spitting image of it. Now, I don't know what they did to age the wood or how they did their proprietary system, but they did kill it. This sounded like a vintage drum straight out of the box, and the amount of throat coming off this drum because of the 45-degree angle where the head's really making contact with the shell is unbelievable. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the fundamental pieces of this Dyna-Sonic frame. You, of course, have the frame itself, which is what the snares are strapped to. And the frame gently kisses the drum head, kind of seats the snares at that way you get that max sensitivity. And it gives you that classic big band to classic rock sound where you could tune this bottom head real tight and get all the sensitivity you want and then go through a massive range of tuning at the top head from low to top and really kind of get some amazing snare sounds on the fly or that just epic classic rock sound that you're looking for. Yet at the same point in time, if you take the time to interval match with this drum, the sensitivity is even more active. It's amazing. Now, when we're talking about strainer and throw off with this drum, this is actually like a three-part system. You want to flip over and look at this. And by the way, they killed this vintage Glock face. It looks just like it did back in the day. It works just like it did back in the day. This is your throw off. But this throw off actually brings the frame up and down, okay? It's not adjusting the snares itself. It's adjusting the frame, which is great because this is what helps adjust the frame up and down like you would adjust snare wires, but it's the frame. And the cool thing about this is that you can open up the sound of the drum really nicely, or you can go ahead and like tighten it up and get a nice, tight, funky sound, but you still have snare sensitivity. And that's one of the reasons I love this drum so much for coming back out. And if you look down here, this is actually your tension adjuster. So they've kind of split that strainer part up where you have the strainer adjusting everything. Now you have two adjustments. That way these snares sit flat against the head and it's absolute sensitivity across the board. And the other cool thing is the reason you could do that is these do not have a very deep snare bed, if any snare bed at all, which maximizes the tone coming from the shell, the tone coming from the head, and the more to sing of the drum. It's actually like having a tom-tom with snare wires that don't buzz. So if you're looking for that one drum that's going to take care of that sensitivity, this one's actually got a built-in system to do it. So I could talk about the Dyna-Sonic snare systems all day long about the specifics of it and how to set it up and all the little things about it, but I think it's most important to actually show you what this drum sounds like. Because to be honest, I think this is actually going to be my new go-to drum on all my gigs. The wood makes it warm and controlled, but I don't have to put any muffling on it. That's the beautiful thing. This drum, no muffling, tight, rich, a little bit of sing, but a controlled sound. And the best thing about the Dyna-Sonic snare system, no sympathetic snare resonance. And one other thing I really like about it is if I'm playing a gig where it's like some rock songs or some jazz songs where I want a bit more open sound, like I can get that big open sound with a lot of snare buzz and a lot of sensitivity, and then turn right back around, and with just 2 turns, bringing that frame just up against the head, I can still have the same amount of sensitivity all across the drum, but still get a nice, tighter, funkier, drier sound. So one of the things I do want to point out about this drum is it's incredibly easy to tune, man. Its sensitivity is just amazing on it. And it's real easy to hear the shell sing. Set the tones real quickly. All right, for the final tuning, I went ahead and took this back down to a fat space, tuned the bottom head a perfect fifth up above it. It's still got some tension on it, but it's a little bit juicier and loosier to help accentuate the fatness of this shell. Now, this is the kind of tuning that you would want to use for an old fat rock sound, big country backbeat snare, a nice blues snare. Where you want the fatness and you want the donk to really stick out. And on this tuning, this is actually the only one where I put the weeest bit of moon gel on because it just helps control that sing just a little bit to where you get a big fat backbeat. So when you play something slamming, it really has the full effect of the drum in the mix and in the air. And that's one thing this drum does, move some air. Solid. All right, y'all, so after I've had a chance to really take this Dyna-Sonic in the studio, low tunings, high tunings, I gotta say this is probably gonna be my go-to snare drum for a little while. I love it, so warm and engaging it, lots of crack, lots of throat. If you haven't had a chance to check out this snare drum, check it out because it's absolutely killing it. And a couple of the other things I do recommend about this drum for people who love like just wide open snare drums, again, except for that little bit of moon gel in the last tuning, everything you heard in this video, no muffling whatsoever on a single ply head with just a little dot on it. So keep that in mind for those who love to let that sing, ring, and thing go on, man. This is the drum for you, man, because I am absolutely in love with it. So I'm going to go ahead and tune this up to what my favorite tuning level is and jam for a little bit in the studio. Capture it all on a Yamaha EAD and let you check it out in a different format. Hope you enjoyed this video, y'all, and take some time to check out this classic snare drum.
Get a tune in. Got a tune in. Get a tune in.